My beloved Madridistas, welcome back to Madrid, welcome back to the channel. Okay, I feel compelled to sort of chime in and give you guys my 2 cents on all this kind of nonsense going around the media and YouTube and this mutiny in Madrid and that these players are revolting and trying to kick Xavi out. This is just completely ridiculous and it's irresponsible and destructive and just stupid. I want to give you guys my two. I'm going to tell you guys how this started, where these kind of rumors started, and I'm going to tell you guys why they spread so quickly, but I'm also going to tell you why I think this is ridiculous. I don't know if these guys have never played team sports or ever been in the military, but the friction is always there. There's always friction, and this is a part of life. It's the most normal thing in the world that some people are unhappy. Sometimes you even go to blows with your teammates, but the next day you're on the pitch fighting for each other, or in the military, you fight one day, but the next day you'll take a bullet for the other guy. Like, the idea that there is some real, fracturing is just completely ridiculous. Let me give you guys my opinion on that. Also, very quickly, I did a collaborative video with Dali FC a couple of days ago. You can find it on my channel. I thought it was a really good chat. You guys should probably listen to that. I thought it was really interesting. But anyway, let me give you guys my thoughts on this nonsense that has gone viral about some mutiny and some crisis at Real Madrid. I'll give you guys my thoughts. Anyway, thanks for joining me. Let's get started. My beloved Madridistas, welcome back. Okay, let me just run you through how all this started. I'm sure by now you've heard the rumors out there that there's some giant war at Real Madrid and that 4 of the players are trying to kick Xavi out and all this dramatic bullshit, which is just really nonsensical. Look, for those of you that ever saw my intro video when I launched the channel, I think it was just under 2 years ago. In that intro video, I explained that there are a lot of YouTubers here in Spain that I follow regularly. Iñaki Angulo, who's sort of kind of the OG. He's sort of the biggest one. He's got like 600,000 subs, and he's kind of the first one to do it. And then there's Ramon Alba and Quillo Barrios and Miguel Serrano and Fanático Real Madrid. There's like dozens and dozens and dozens of these. And I follow them, and I think for the most part the content's really interesting, really good. And in this particular case, we're talking about Iñaki Angulo. Now, Iñaki Angulo is sort of a veteran in the field. He was a journalist. I think he worked at beIN Sports for a while. Anyway, I have a lot of respect for him. I really enjoy listening to his opinions and so forth. He's kind of a high energy guy, but I think very articulate, very intelligent. Very often says interesting things. But I really think that this time he's sort of threw the toys out of the pram. I don't know what happened, but he came out with a video a couple of days ago saying that that his sources, by the way, there's another thing I need to mention. They all pretend that they have these inside sources at the club, and it's all BS. This is a very common thing among kind of the Real Madrid YouTube. They try to pretend that they have these connections in the club, and then they'll spin a story. I remember when Mbappe was supposed to come, Ramon Alba said, my sources have confirmed that everything is signed and it's done and Kylian's coming. It turned out to be BS, okay? Like, a lot of times these guys try to pretend that they have inside connections with the club, that they have special access, and it's crap, okay? I don't know who you know inside the club, but they probably don't know anything. I doubt very much that even your contacts within the club know what's really going on with the players and the managers. I think a lot of this is hot air, and I think it's intended to sort of get clicks, or you predict something. Fabrizio Romano does this a lot. He'll predict something completely like 90% probable, and then pretend that he was the guy that had the inside scoop and he knew it before everyone. It's just nonsense, and it's designed to kind of give yourself credibility, but it's just not true, okay? So Iñaki came out with a story, and it kind of pains me to say it because I really like him. I think he's the kind of guy I'd really enjoy having a beer with. I mean, he seems like a really cool guy. But I mean, this was just ridiculous, okay? So your sources tell you that 4 Real Madrid players want Xavi out, and that there's a mutiny in the club, and that this is a disaster, and Xavi's lost the grip of the club. So presumably, I am meant to believe that Mastantuono, A kid who's 18 years old, who just arrived from Argentina, who has the biggest contract he never thought he would ever get in his life, arrives in Madrid, in the biggest club in the world. He's probably still shaking at the thought of having to play in the Bernabeu. But you're telling me that somehow Mastantuono, this 18-year-old Argentinian kid, has the balls to start criticizing the coach and to complain publicly and to somehow push against his manager. I don't believe it. I'm sorry. I just do not believe it. You're going to pretend to me as well. You're going to pretend to me that Jude Bellingham, who's one of the most polite, kind-hearted players I've ever seen, who is decent, he plays for the team, his principles and his attitude are absolutely polished. This guy's a gentleman in every aspect of his life. You're trying to tell me that Jude is upset because he doesn't want to play as a striker and he's been playing as a striker, so he's really pissed off and wants Xavi to leave? I just don't believe it. I mean, look at the heat maps in the last few matches. These are Jude's heat maps. I mean, does this look like somebody that's playing as a striker? He's not playing as a striker, okay? And by the way, he loves going into the box. Okay, so that presumably is that. So you're trying to tell me that Fede Valverde, who has on about a million occasions said that he will play whatever position the coach wants him to play and that he's ecstatic and loves playing for Xavi, that player that has made a million of those statements somehow is really upset that he has to play right back, and so much so that he wants to push Xavi out and that there are all these tensions. And I just don't believe it, and I think the other one was Vini. Look, the reason that this spread as much as it did is, look, in the sort of Spanish language YouTube community, you've got Iñaki Angulo, who's kind of like the OG, and then all the others who, if you read between the lines and you see a lot of their group chats and stuff, there's a little bit of ass kissing going on. Like, I think the other guys, the Ramon and the, Miguel Serrano de Quilla, like, there's a little bit of ass kissing. If Iñaki says something, then we all have to follow up and talk about it. And of course, if all the other YouTubers talk about it, then the mainstream media, which we all know is like paid to be anti-Madridista, they jump on the bandwagon, and next thing you know, there's this giant revolution and this crisis in Madrid, which is just completely fabricated. I don't know, I'll say it again, I don't know if these guys have never played team sports. The level of pressure that when you're in a pressure cooker, there are tensions, and sometimes players fight, even in training. But the next day, they wear the same jersey and they back each other and they support each other and they end up hugging and crying in each other's arms after they win a trophy. This is a normal part of high-intensity competition when you're part of a team. And you see similar things in the military. Yes, there's going to be friction, there's going to be tension, but at the end of the day, they understand that their responsibilities are above any of their individual whims. And you're not going to get me to believe that these players are unprofessional enough to try some sort of mutiny to get rid of Xavi. Are you out of your mind? They're playing in Real Madrid, and they're paid a fortune to do so, and they know that they're the most privileged players in the world. They're not going to sabotage anything. I think it is irresponsible and destructive to start these stupid rumors. And are there players that are unhappy? I'm sure they are. I'm sure that every single match there are players that are really pissed off. Are there players that get really upset with the manager because they don't play or they play in the wrong position? Of course. But I mean, since when is that new? I mean, how old are you people? I mean, grow up. This is a part of life, and it's a totally natural part of team sports. But to extrapolate and to pretend that this is some sort of cataclysmic crisis in Madrid, and all the other YouTubers out, spuming and spitting and yelling. And by the way, when I started my channel, if you look at that intro video, and I kind of explain the YouTubers I follow, and all that kind of stuff. When I did it, nobody was doing this in English, okay? I think there was one person, I think Managing Madrid was the only guy doing it in English. And I launched my channel, now there's about 100 million people doing it in English, and they're all out there, spitting and fuming that, oh, there's a crisis, there's a war. You guys, grow the fuck up, okay? There is no crisis, there is a slump in play, there are things that need to be addressed, and everybody's going to be a professional, and everyone's going to fix it, okay? And the pressure is there to do it, and the will is there to fix things and make things better from the top down. And these players love each other, and they back Xavi, and Xavi is doing the best he can, and he's going to try to fix what isn't working. But the idea that there's this sort of mutiny, aboard the Real Madrid ship, and that it's going to sink, and that Xavi needs to be kicked out. This is completely unnecessary bullshit. Okay, like the guy's been here for 3 months. I mean, give me a break. Look. I had to tell you guys this because, you know, it's all over the news. And like I say, Fede and other players have come out to deny it. But look, this is team sports at the highest level. And of course, there are tensions and frustrations. And sometimes, do you guys remember when Benzema, you know, was caught telling, I think he was telling Mendy, and they were in the corridor about to walk out on the pitch. And Benzema said to Mendy something like, don't pass the ball to Vini because he plays for the other team. This was back when Vini was losing balls like crazy. He was useless. And Benzema was really frustrated. Of course, that kind of shit talk happens. And there's tension and there's sometimes even, you know, altercations. But please, that is normal. And I don't know, you know, in what little bubble these children live in, but that is totally normal. And it is normal for you to not be happy with your manager at times. But from that, to sort of saying that there's some sort of mutiny, I mean, there's a lot of daylight between those two scenarios. And I was just kind of disappointed that Iñaki, I'm a big fan of his, that he would come out with his crap. Like, he has a tendency, I love him and I think his content's great, but he can be a little bit pedantic, a bit preachy at times. Sometimes he sounds like he's a Catholic school teacher reprimanding the children, like he has the last word. You don't have the last word on shit. You have an opinion, and which is no better than mine, and that's about it. But we all have opinions, and that's fair enough. But I think to sort of state as fact that there's some sort of mutiny going on, or, you know, that there's some irreparable situation with Xabi and the players, I think is destructive, irresponsible, and I think is juvenile, and it's jumping the gun. But anyway, look, I just wanted, this very short video, I just wanted to give you guys my 2 bits, because this stuff is all over the press, and this is the kind of crap we have to live with. But anyway, that's my view. Again, I'll remind you guys to check out that chat I had with Dali FC the other day, which I thought was really interesting. You may want to look at that. But anyway, I needed to chime in on this short video, as I promised. I'll see all of you in the next video. Love all you guys, and as always and forever, a la Madrid.